It's almost 2026, so I figure it's time to name my 10 least favorite movies I watched this year, and my 10 favorites. Today will be my least favorites, best to worst. Lastly, these are not just 2025 movie releases, this is just everything I watched over the course of 2025. So let's jump right in. Hug and Molly is a legend set in Abbeville, Alabama, which is a city I have driven through numerous times, so I thought this would be interesting. Hug and Molly is basically an entity that steals misbehaving children in the night. And while this found footage horror film has a couple cool shots and an underutilized costume for Hug and Molly, this hour-long movie drug on, and the acting was far too atrocious, even by found footage standards. So I know all these childhood wrecker horror films are bad movies, but something about Popeye's Revenge, where an evil Popeye picks off summer camp counselors, just didn't hit any mark whatsoever. It could have been dumb fun, but outside of a couple okay kills, this was pretty boring. A grandfather is actually a leader of a sadistic cult, and he starts to sacrifice some victims on Halloween. I was just wanting October vibes from this movie. It helped that it was an 80s film. Cult movies can be fun, but they just do nothing interesting with the premise. The execution is about as dull as it can be, with no effective comedy to carry you through. Clickbait also fails as a satirical film. The amount of random montage sequences was fucking disgusting. Plus, the attempts at humor were some of the worst I experienced this year. Cool idea, but ultimately just super corny. Even with a smartass killer turkey, this one also didn't do much for me. Except for the voice of the turkey, everything else was just too painful to watch, and the gag wore on me quickly. The infamous Lake Lanier in Georgia has a dark history of unexplained deaths, and even further back in history is one surrounding racism. And this movie tried to tackle both of these things and fails in every way. This was just a bland melodramatic movie that was not self aware, and I was really excited for this one too. A deadly STD virus plagues guests at an isolated motel that turns these infected into the living dead. Gross out humor and even sexual humor can be okay, but it's a slippery slope. And this one was just gross without the entertainment factor to go along with it. This just feels like it was written by the most demented middle schooler ever. This one simply just took itself far too seriously for what it had to offer. A group of friends stay out at a cabin deep in the woods as aliens invade Earth. And now I love alien invasion horror movies and have several guilty pleasures. This is not one of them. They managed to make the over the top characters and the bad CGI boring, and there was just no cleverness to help you at least laugh at the final product. I'll admit, after the opening scene, I thought this movie might give me the perfect amount of ridiculousness, but unfortunately, it tries too hard to interject a story to fill up the runtime to the point where it bogs down what could have been a simple, stupid time. This had no business being nearly 100 minutes. And I take absolutely no pride or happiness in having this movie as my least favorite, as it is likely the one with the fewest resources and the lowest budget. But the story follows a musician recording an album deep in the woods, and he finds a cassette tape which contains the contents of a mysterious presence that terrorizes the woman who left the recordings. And I was totally fine with this being bare bones visually, but the story is what annoyed me the most. There are no real surprises. You've seen nearly everything before. The execution was about as basic as it gets, plus the lead character was far from interesting to follow, because now I understand found footage characters narrate to their camera a lot. It makes sense, but the way it's done here is so poorly timed and so poorly delivered that it instantly takes you out of any potentially suspenseful scenes. Those are my 10 least favorite films I saw this year. I'd love to hear your list as well, and let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the films on my list.